I was just interested. I'm right now looking at a YouTube screen, so I can't see visual reactions. But is that something that anybody, you can tell me in the chat or out loud, anybody would be interested in, like quiet writing sessions?
I could really use that.
Oh, sorry. Quiet. That's the YouTube starting. Okay. Anyway, that was just an idea because, yes, I know so many of us are working on books, and there's many different writers groups and iterations of that in person and online. But I kind of liked the idea of a quiet one where people just checked in for an hour or two. All right, we'll get started in just a moment. It's a quiet night, and I'm still looking at a different screen. Ooh. Does anyone have any Pride plans this month, I wonder? Or any events related to poetry and Pride, or any poems that are coming up tonight? Cool. Let's see. Oh no, what? Okay, just one moment. I'm going to answer a direct message. Okay. So yeah, we're definitely thinking about doing a quiet session other than the first Saturday of the month. It would be at a different time that works for people. Maybe get together and just have this Zoom open, and anybody who wants to check in, and then, you know, that way we just know we have the time set aside for ourselves to do our writing and to support one another in that. So yeah, anybody have any idea? I got some positive reaction on that, and I have a private message to respond to, and then we'll start. But yeah, any ideas on timing for that? I would really like to coordinate it with what's good. So, and yeah. And anything else too that anyone would like to use this Zoom for? This is our community Zoom funded by our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I just, you know, it's here to share. So any special events you might want to brainstorm producing, I would love to get in on those kind of ideas. So, yeah, okay, just a moment. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'll paste the list in. I did send it. Oh, Fatima just got here. That's wonderful. Good. Just one moment, Tom. Cool. All right, so clearly some of these folks haven't made it yet. We are so grateful for the ones who have, but just be mindful of that, where your name falls on the list. If they haven't checked in yet, you might go quicker than you were imagining. And then of course we have Chanson Byrd. Welcome, Fatima, so grateful you are here. And I'm gonna read a quick one in just a moment, and then we will get started with the open mic. There's the list as I have it for right now. Okay, I will put us in speaker view. And where's my phone so I can read this lovely little poem that was on Nancy's website. There it is. Okay. Wonderful. All right. So let's see. And yes, let's remember to keep muted unless it's our turn, or if we have between open mic segments some effusive praise to offer. I don't always have to be the one to do that. I know you all do wonderful blowing up the chat with your beautiful comments as well. Hi, welcome to Poetry in the Brew. I'm your host, Christine Hall. I am so thankful for each and every one of you because this show is what you make it. And every one of you who makes it here is contributing from your innards to our outards. And I love the way that ripples through the world and throughout our weeks. And I'm just so thankful for the time together and for the poetic moments shared, because that is what defines life for me and gives me something to hold on and keep living for. So thank you all for making that. Really thank you to our patrons on Patreon as well for making this feasible and sustainable. And special thanks to our Impresario Extraordinaires, Katie Thompson, Bonnie Solloway, Rhoda Thomas. And okay, so I'm gonna say Happy Pride Month. And I feel more and more like a queer Jewish mama every day. It is just a transition that is happening into my middle age. I have this character that I am becoming, and it's overtaking me. But I really thought this was a sweet young poem, and it gave me a little bit of that sparkle and encapsulated that purity of the human moment. Let us see. After the threesome, they both take you home by Sue Hyam Bay. Even though it's so very late and they have to report to their jobs, in a few hours, they both get in the car, one driving, one shotgun, you in the back like a child needing a drive to settle into sleep. Even though one could drive and the other sleep, because they can't sleep without each other. They'd rather drive you across the city rather than be apart for half an hour. The office buildings lit pointlessly beautiful for nobody except you to admire their reflections in the water, the lovers too busy talking about that colleague they don't like, tomorrow's dinner plans, how once they bought peaches on a road trip and ate until they could taste it in each other's pores. They got out of the car together to kiss you goodnight, you who have perfected the ghost goodbye, exiting gatherings noiselessly, leaving only a dahlia-scented perfume, your rib cage compressing to slide through doors ajar and untouched. Yesterday, you were a flash of white in a pigeon's blinking eye. In the day, few hours old, you stand solid and full of other people's love for each other, spilling over warm leftovers. So again, thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone who just joined. And I can't wait to hear from all of you. We are going to get started right away with the first speaker on the open mic. Welcome back, and thank you so much for being here, Vron McIntyre.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. It's very nice to be back. It's been a while. I've got several short poems. The first one is quite new. We live in a haunted house. It breathes with the breath of those not quite departed. They inhale as we climb the stairs, sigh out as we come down again. We inhabit their sorrows and their joys, camp out in their living spaces, unwary intruders in the afterlives of others. This house is not private property. It shares and shares alike, plucks the heartstrings of the sensitive, glad and sad of the company. One day we pack up and leave for a house troubled only by the blossom of ancient fruit trees, the trickle of riverbound streams. Perched on the orchard slope, old boughs creak in the wind, only an apple falls with a soft thud to the fading music of someone's name. And the second one I have is from my pamphlet. I have a pamphlet since last time I was here. This is called Random Trail. I'll put details in the chat after. And this poem is from that book, and it's called Goodbye to Montague's Cave. And it's set in Cornwall. The air tastes of salt. Gulls wheel and shriek. We approach along the smooth, wet, sandy beach. Coat zipped up. Sharp breeze riffles hair. Smells of fish, seaweed, decay. Grey clouds, white flecked waves breaking, sucking, breaking. We climb up on the rocks. In that stony face rising from the sand, an aperture above a striking rust red streak. I take the torch and step inside, into shelter. Surface sounds recede. A slow, resonant, booming rhythm fills the whole space. There's a low rock at the back. I sit, feel the invisibly red stream flow around my feet, deposit iron, carving a channel on its rusty route. The seaward view is a lens, a leaf, bright fish bladder in the dark rock. When I stand in that space, the lens becomes a keyhole and I a key. In the spring, we come back and it is gone. Rocks tumbled as though it never was. The cafe owner said there had been a fall, burying their famous tomato juice cave. And the last one is a little poem called Launch, which I wrote after my book launch, inconveniently enough. But it was, I put a short quotation from Ithaca by C.P. Cavafy at the front of this book as a dedication to my mum, my late mother, who died a few years ago, because it was her favourite poem. And I realised after this little poem popped out that I should call it after C.P. Cavafy. So it's Launch after C.P. Cavafy. Voyage well, little book, coracle of my heart. Sail out over the waters on your own adventures. As I wave you off, I am both with you and without you. You're on your own now. Farewell on the seas, bob up and down on the waves of serendipity. May you be treated gently wherever you sail. May you find safe harbours and fresh voyages. Find yourself in good company among kindred spirits when it's choppy out there. And if you sink beneath the waves, dive down into the deep, find yourself settling into the muddy silt of the world's bed. Rest well. Know that you were once sunken treasure, slept for years before surfacing. You have been there before and are just coming home. Voyage well, little book, and all who sail in you. Thank you.
Oh, Vron McIntyre. Oh, the arc of your poetry. My goodness, what you accomplished in the span of those. Thank you so much for starting us off tonight. Thank you for being here. Oh,
Thanks.
appreciate you so much, Vron. Thank you. Oh, we next go to, with great thanks, Clive Oseman.
Hello. Okay, so I'm going to do two. One of them's much longer than the other one. Yeah, they're about 3 minutes and 1 minute, something like that. So the first one is it's definitely the most popular poem I've written since I was last here. So there are probably 3 or 4 people here who have heard it, so probably 50 or 60 times. But other than that, it's new. And it's what would happen if somebody crept into your living room and changed over the letters F and P on your computer keyboard and you didn't notice until it was too late. So it's called When F and P Change Places. This poem, if that's what it is about nothing in particular, just various bits and pieces. I don't like to start with politics, a peeled pull of fistfots and fanatics who couldn't organise a fiss-off in a brewery, and in the case of UK immigration policy, responsible for plenty of fatalities, though I'm sure they will be reported favourably by Fox News and its British equivalent GB News with Nigel Farage and his friends. So let's be more pliffant and talk about sports feeful like Feet Sampras, famous feeful from the fast like Napoleon Bonaparte, or even contemporary feeful like the unfortunately not yet dearly departed Piers Morgan, or Katie Hopkins, who always seems like she's paused a pineapple off her bum. No? Okay. Let's talk music. You may have an eclectic taste ranging from the Pooh Fighters through offerers like the Magic Flute, old British hits like XTC's Making Flans, poor Nigel, I'd poison them, wartime classics like Fack Off Your Troubles, Beatles classics like I Peel Pine, festive songs like A Partridge in a Fear Tree, or even some frog rock. I wish I was musical. I'd go on tour entertaining the pea-faying public in places like Finland, Portugal, France, and probably Newfoundland. But enough of that. Let's talk food. I'm not sure what to eat today, roast fork and apple sauce, or fish and chips. And if fish and chips, do I have pickled onions or mushy peas? Or do I have a fucker steak and kidney pie? Not saying I eat too much food that's unhealthy and patterning, but my clothes are size trifle XL. Feta five for ficta feck up fickled what? Plagiarism? Puck up, or I'll punch your lights out. Oh, appended are we? I pray you don't call the Felice, the coffers, the pilth, the figs. Pock the Felice! Oh, come on. I was joking. I wouldn't really punch you. I don't approve of fisticuffs or violence of any kind. I'm a pacifist. My house has patio doors. It's a big house, rather palatial, with a games room for fool and fing-fong. Okay, I'm taking the piss. I live in a folky little flat or apartment, if you prefer, among the pheasants. And I'm probably stuck here until the Grim Reaper comes calling. Whatever a reefer is, I wouldn't know. So that's that one. And the second one is something I discovered the other day. I was looking for something else on the computer, and I found this, and I barely remember writing it, but I don't think I've ever performed it, and it just made me smile when I read it. So, and it sort of typifies the sort of person that we all know somebody like this. And it's called No Consideration. Dear ambulance, do you have no semblance of consideration? I know my neighbour's asphyxiation caused a bit of consternation, but do you really need the sirens? They shattered the nighttime silence with a loud, insistent violence as I was trying to sleep. Why didn't you just creep up on him and shock him back to life? It may not have been successful, but I wouldn't be so irked, so it wouldn't be so stressful getting up for work, and if my rest had not been needlessly disturbed by your thoughtless reaction to this emergency. Now I'm out of bed, and he's still brown bread. That's how things transpired, and I'm grumpy when I'm tired, especially when I have to pretend to like a neighbour just because he's dead. The prick voted Tory and was a Brexit supporter. Ooh, will there be a piss-up when he's buried? Count me in for a couple of bevies, and I'll take the day off work. It's the least that I deserve. He was the nicest man you could wish to meet. Blah, 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 blah. I'll feed that belief if I get free beer. Cheers. Yeah, fuck off. I'm out on my feet. Thank you very much.
Oh, goodness gracious. Thank you, Clive Oseman. A particularly fantastic performance. Love that 1-2 punch from you. So excellent. Thank you, Clive Oseman. It's a tremendous pleasure when you join us. Really, thank you. We are welcoming now, and thank you so much, Mike Sindler.
Hey, Christine. Hey, everybody. Good to be back. I miss this place every week. It's not here. So this first piece is called History's Ride. and the epigraph is, "The sea is not a question of power, Adrian Rich. Our histories ride over the wave, surfing its foam-tipped curve. Some slide onto civilization's crystalline shores and become the flotsam that is myth. Some sink deep under and drift down, forgotten tales littering the seabed of experience, clumping together like coral. This mass of lost memory awaits phantom divers, never to descend, longs for light to filter over saga, slowly bleached, worn color of dying curiosity, endless blank hours of black silence. Storytellers on the shore gather shells and stones, baubles smoothed into partition narrative detail, string them into ornamental oracle, offer them as understanding. Each bead settling uneasily in order between each an unseen chasm lies. Obscure detritus held in deep holds, keys to connections without which no new wrought chronicle can be testament to time's treasured truth. Instead, a mere amalgam from azure, haphazard yield of gem and junk, poorly fastened facile choker, costume paste finery regarded as regalia, will not reveal the true treasure entombed and undiscovered far below. And I'm just going to do one more little short one. And this is a tanka, just describing a little bit of how I felt over the last week or so. It's called Shove. Take hopes and prayers, hypocrites' lame excuses, shove them up your ass. School shootings every week. Lives matter more than your guns. Okay, thank y'all.
Ooh, thank you for your voice and your words, Michael Sindler. Thank you. Your poetry, harrowing triumph. So appreciate you bringing it here and sharing with us. Thank you for being here, Michael Sindler. Yeah. Okay, guess what? Wonderful and welcome and thank you, Phynne Belle.
Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. So I just want to share one piece. It's a longer piece. I hope I haven't shared it here before. Probably not. But I'd like you guys to cut me off if I hit, past 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes, because it's a longer piece and I don't want to go way over and take up other people's
We have
time.
5 here now.
Oh, okay, 5. Sounds good.
And I wouldn't
Okay.
worry about it. We want to hear you finish. Thank you, Phynne Belle.
Sorry, I just got unbuttoned. Not that you guys need to know that.
I'll be quiet now.
We Linger Still is the title. We linger still. I rapped on the ceiling only twice, tiptoeing on my high perch. My egret, slender limbs trembling, a high wire act, equal parts exhilaration and fear of being discovered. I rapped on the ceiling once more, slowed my heart, slowed my breathing, listened, waited. It was all I could do to suspend the lunacy looming mere inches over me, a storm cloud riling the ornate figures that in turn watched me, enraged clown-faced shapes changing their moods in the waver of the candlelight, ready to condemn my slight movement as I hugged the wall. I waited, patience herself, because I knew that he heard me, this boy. I stood stock still, held my breath until he emitted his reply, the usual sigh, the room responding in unison with him, becoming warmer in the way of first days of summer, whenever he was present. Inside this space, he was almost always present, rarely moving from the safety of the nook he made for himself when he first took up residence. But sometimes, when the moon tilted in the sky at the correct angle, he liked to squeeze through the growing tear that had formed between the thinness of the plaster. Here he made his way into the cove, where one could spy upon the ballroom and all its lascivious players. I would crawl in obediently after him, and we would stare in rapturous quiet at this, our own living zoetrope. Marvel in the intimacies contortions would create when bodies became puzzle games to solve in languor, when bodies were codex and fingers and tongues were keys. The hush of this old edifice was also our language, and we heeded it. Forgotten children, lost children. We needed tending. This the manor knew. I was ever in awe, following this beautiful mute waif through endless mazes of corridors, feeling secure, knowing instinctively that his skin felt what the house was whispering to him. As he touched its walls in passing, hearing how it would tell him to commune with the shadows and shapes. And he would lean his head, just so, cock his ear alongside the tapestry where it was shabby, where the drapes were redolent with the ancient scent that secrets leave, that past dalliances smudge, indelible in the fine cloth, crinoline, and forgotten whalebone, the only accomplices left behind, their paramours distilled in relics now locked beneath the glass of gilded frames and tightly sealed within curio cases. All the old furniture remained. They have seen the house grow upward and outward. They have grown with it, grown older, grown more weary, more fragile. Still they join us in this blissful pack of soundlessness. Once upon a time, I danced among the living. My laughter brought in the light. I think there was a time before this house wooed me, when it filled its own chambers full of suspicions heavy in the air. These are how intrigues and scandal aspirate into airways and veins and come out bloodied, pulsing their venom, animated on multiple tongues. I think there was a time before my companion, before my dying star. What came first? Acknowledgement or death? Left to myself, my mind is unclouded. I began to imagine I once more heard voices, invisible denizens, tumult, deafening, bouncing, and echoing on every surface. Left to myself, I began lengthy, one-sided conversations with every piece of furniture, waiting for answers that never came. When prodded, none of the upholstered chairs cared to divulge what they knew. The translucent fine-bone plates looked knowing, but would not dish their gossip. The ancient fleur-de-lis tea kettle atop them, arch and haughty, but keeping her counsel. Bone dry, no scandal to steep, nothing to spill. I think I told you about when I angered the nanny who chased me, her ghost child, through the great hall, past the army of mismatched statues milling about. I wailed out the obscurity of our inbred lineage to her as she attempted to catch me and wrap me in her modesty. I ticked off a tale, a half-falsity of a great uncle once, twice, thrice removed, who procured these statues, who was swindled at every stop. None among these monstrosities, historical or classic, not one could claim the caress of a hand of a master of their dubious era. Every single one of them accomplished at pretending to be something they were not, that their own fibs birthed them into their quietude. They remain in this absolute stillness of being. I'll stop there.
Oh, so exquisite. Phynne Belle, thank you. Oh my goodness, your language luscious. Your delivery is grace to the third power at the very least. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I want more. I hope that you finish that, even if you stick around and consider closing us out with it. Think about it. Think about it. All right. Thank you. We next welcome, with great gratitude, Fatima Lisbeth. Hello and thanks.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're well. I'd like to share two pieces. The first piece is called Antique Romance. Grant me rest, my hemlock love. I am indeed the honey-seeking bee who vertically ascended from a century of thaw. Silently oppressed by a usurper queen, I burnt myself alive from the inside out in a trinket box of snow and stood noble without a crown on the spindle throat of a wicker-hearted empire. Hatyan, I beseech thee, accept me with love, for I am toxic. Lay my overcast soul in the sapling bed of our unspoken vows. Follow the petaled glances until poignancy swallows pride in the brambled mouth of our nuclear lust. Sleep with me in the most innocent sense of the word. Sweeten my everlasting endurance, for I am suffering. Bind our grim union with the cadaverous branches found face down on the moors of speared dreams. Decorate our marriage with the translucent frosting, sweetly frolicking on the peaks of your sugar-coated fingers. Cream our being into a lover's knot and layer it within the bodice of the weeping willow. Yield your cobbled heart, for I am unlovable. Thistled eyes peek into wild meadows, spying pips of fruitful attention, betraying the etiquettes of mankind. Shame presses her ruby fingernails into blistered wings, as absent smoke is blown into glassy lungs, whispering pretty toxins into sober eardrums. You are beautiful, but I am not beloved. Desire me with loyalty, for I am wretched. Exhibit tiered joy as I uncurl dovetail clouds rising beneath the pavilion of our misunderstood love, with long-haired strokes and dusty ghosts of transient pleasures haunt the dying as they ironically take in the mockery crackling from their amputated branches. Kiss me with artistry, for I am art. Bronze my birch limbs with the treacle sap swallowed from the tail of the nutmeg-eyed scorpion. Roll my fluorescent morals in your minstrel mouth. Tether my willowy resilience behind the oak beams of your peregrine tongue and coax the smoke to swell beneath the rafters of my prisoned fire. Perish with me, for I am the last. Rest the pine candlesticks in the archway of our shadowed covenant. Pull skywards for lofty prayers to be felt. Worship on padded heels at the hem of exotic charms. Look into the milky chestnut haze and empower placid canaries to fly. Nail the tortured testaments around the antlers of the widowed ash tree. Allow me to bathe in the scent of brooding cedar, flowering from the roots of your emerald soul. Be alive with me in the platinum, for we are cardinal. Thank you. My second piece is part of a short series I'm writing. It's called Meridian Prayer. My moonstruck heart, once a lazy-eyed walnut, sits cross-legged impatiently in overcast glades. It shines dully through the cataract lens of an oyster-eyed cyclops, never expecting, but holding nevertheless onto unsuspecting expectations. To hold is power. I bear their mark, a clear-cut chevron gifted It hides from my shadow by standing fully dressed in blindness. Here, generational curses moonwalk in a saucer of sour milk, and indecency rakes through my celibate soul, upskirting its sparda. A quartz-crowned kite skims the alpenglow of my desertion. A colony of honeybees are raped at noon while sleeping. The moving tower of Camelot collapses in on itself, hovering and then vanishing within the serrated embossment, whereupon the blessed, with the beautiful faces, consummate my nature with the spittle, fainting from the sinner's fountain of cold blood. It squirrels into the lightly toasted oatmeal and grazes on my heathen soul. It swims naked in cramping depths. I hear its pangs after the indifferent sun is blindfolded, delivering an ingrown warmth. I touch myself to live beyond its discomfort. I feel the snapping fingers of church mice pitter-patter beneath the nibble slits of my sloping nails. An itch, or maybe a sign, streaks between this me and that which caused the brittle split in the place of 10 and piles its ionized tusks into the rails along the crescent spine of the lungless blood moth. Secrets are worshipped on the magenta prayer mat of my childhood. The good deeds keep me guarded, so the will I died 10 times for, vanishing to the wall, licked by Yajuj Majuj, may never reveal its back teeth and overthrow the pock-marked earth into great heights. A throne trembles in the sky, but I endure the shattering. Wordless disloyalty is inscribed in the inner cheeks of an unripened grapefruit cunningly placed in the cuckoo's nest from the pecking motherless chicks whose mouths I faithfully fed. I have been revived many times. Which one am I, and whose soul shall I sharpen my scimitar upon? Thank you.
Wow. Oh. Wow. Fatima Lisbeth. The art of your poetry is so finely honed. I mean, the words you wield, whew, so effective. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
So appreciate you being here with us and sharing that. Thank you. Y'all, I know I'm overwrought. I know I'm just, yeah, I am. That's how I am. That's how this experience is for me. That's poetry. It's real. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. We next welcome back and thank you, Sergio Ramon Rodriguez.
All right, thank you, Christine Hall. For those, a few of you who don't know me, my name is Sergio Raymond Rodriguez. You see my display name is Serge Ray Rodrigo. That's one of 2 pen names. You could look for me on Amazon under Serena Lucio, or if you Google Roach Kind, it's the first thing that comes up is my novel. So the following poem is pro-abortion. Partially based on my own mother's 1977 ectopic pregnancy that did almost kill her. She did die 11 years ago, though. May she rest in peace. And she was always against abortion, but I think had she lived longer, her and my father, then maybe they'd reconsidered. Also based on when I was 21, so that was 16 years ago, I did pay for an abortion that I was, of course, partially responsible for. So partially based off of that, all names and locations and time periods have been obscured with the following poem. This is a pro-abortion poem, just to let you know. So if you get a little cringy, like, what an asshole, it's going somewhere, people, okay? It's pro-abortion. So just went to a protest a few weeks ago, and there were people with semi-automatic weapons there. Nobody got shot, but hell of a thing since I've been protesting for 20 years. And they're bringing these assault rifles to protest. Way to go to preserve human life, people. Your baby killers are to mow y'all down. Scary, but I wrote about it because that's what I do best. I'm not a gun person, believe it or not. Here we go. The poem is called Stay Bowed by Serena Lucio. What are you in for? Servicio bows his head. I'm one of the few women that birth control doesn't work on. And my husband and I already have 4 kids, so we didn't want to give this one up for adoption. Because our other kids would get upset why mom was having a sibling for them in 9 months and I don't deliver. So instead of my husband getting a vasectomy, that fucking weenie, or leaving me the hell alone, we opted for pull and pray and thoughts and prayers. And since I thought I was starting menopause, boy, were we wrong. Now we're just complete atheists. Mason, Dixon, and Servicio exaggeratedly bow for this woman's reasons. She was there all alone. All the women were, except Mason Dixon. The girl next to them chimes in with her, "What are you in for?" story. I cheated on my boyfriend with a black guy and others. Pretty sure this baby is the black guy's, so I couldn't just tell my boyfriend it was his. And that's my right to choose my body, my life, my autonomy, my agency. Fuck you if you don't agree or disagree. And my dad gave me money for this. My mom died from an ectopic pregnancy in 1977. Was this young lady expecting a Me Too after a hashtag? Mason Dixon and Servicio desperately try not to call this girl a racist spoiled brat who deserves to be punished with a child for her lying, exploiting self-centeredness. Hopefully her punishment child would be born with cancer or AIDS or something contagious that would ruin their mom's mouth and entitlement. The pox child, to be an example to all the racist brats who hide behind causes and buzz phrases. Kind of like Casey Anthony. At least she had the spine to get rid of her screaming poop machine crotch goblin. Or did she? And it takes a village to raise a child. And it takes a village to set one up for the fall. Bow to that golden fall, that shimmering ancient wisdom. Bow to the fall. And aim that glob of cells in there like a nuclear warhead at anyone who stirs up far too much gray inside the masses who think they understand what's so much better, what's so right, what's so much more than 99.9% of humanity. They understand it so well that they're qualified to proselytize to all those who didn't work hard enough, to be smart enough, compassionate enough. That's so punk. Oh, it's so punk. Punk DIY anger doesn't help. And after 9 doctors' opinions and a divorce, Mason Dixon finally found a doctor who would give her the hysterectomy she requested. She tells this story on social media, expecting the response she believes she deserves, I guess. Then it dawns hard. Why should some baby or anyone suffer just to screw over some racist little scumbucket? And yes, the word racist is worse than the N-word nowadays. Say the word abortion. It's not a dirty word. No one needs to suffer to punish anyone, anything, or any place. While some need the kind of life that more babies can be born and loved in. The kind that gets abortion still, reasons matter not. That's how pro-humanity must be, to destroy those who would destroy the last of human freedoms. All the human freedoms. The attitude one takes when all else is stripped away. A semi-automatic weapon at a pro-abortion event is the response to that now. Over $1,000 for an abortion. That's what we're in for at best. So stay bowed during the months and years to come. Stay bowed, and stay bowed.
Sergio Raymond Rodriguez, thank you. Bowing to your expressions and very much appreciation for you bringing that here. Yeah.
Thanks. My apologies if anybody got a little upset. But this, I know it doesn't affect me directly, but this has been rough. Next month, I'm actually going to come with a poem about the Hispanic on Hispanic school shooting we had recently here in the U.S. None of my wonderful Hispanic family or friends are talking about this much, but this is something that needs to be talked about. I'm still sorting it out, though, because this is truly an epidemic that's hitting my demographic now, too. And I've been having to reevaluate some things because our own kids need not do that or suffer from that. So that's what I'm going to come with next month. Okay.
Yes, I am astounded by your capability in tackling subjects that many shy from, and you do so deftly and with wisdom and clarity, and I thank you. It's also, pretty sharp, a lot of your revelations, and I appreciate that specifically. So thank you, Sergio Raymond Rodriguez. We next welcome back. Thank you so much for being here with us, Terri Rose Jertson.
Hi. I was going to read something out of the book. I need a minute though to open it because I just have to open an email with the book. Okay. Sorry, I'm not ready. I wasn't ready. I'll just read something else. Okay. She asked me about my childhood memories. She asked me if I'm alone in them. The answer is no. There are always others around me, but in my recollection, I felt very alone. These are my experiences from this life. Although from a very young age, I have always sensed that this was not my time and asked many questions about reincarnation and past lives. I imagined that I was alive in the 20s and the 30s and lived a somewhat extravagant life. If I were to imagine a fairy tale-like existence, partying with my friends, possibly having a family, but possibly not. I'm haunted by images that represent that time period, mainly the music, and seek to know more about history. Perhaps I was a singer like the tarot card lady told me when she wasn't reading my cards. Singing smoke gets in your eyes as she blew her smoke. I didn't think my mom should pay this person. I didn't give her any credibility. I felt she was a liar and a thief, selling bullshit to desperate souls trying to make a connection. What was my connection? At the time, I thought I was connected to the earth with my feet planted like roots to the soil, and getting my hands dirty was becoming less and less of a problem. Coming from an upbringing where I was sheltered, overprotected, I still managed to find my way to shit. Found my way out of the strongholds that protected me from the rest of the world. It kept me safe. It kept me ignorant. They didn't stop me when I needed to break free. But 3 marriages later, I kept repeating this story.
Woo! Oh, Terri, I thought we might get a little bit more. Is that what you got for us? It's amazing, but I know you were caught a little off guard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's lately my poems have sort of ending that way where you're not sure if it's actually over. I have one. Did I read one more?
Yes, I knew that was over. I was just kind of, I want more. You're here with us. give me a little more.
Okay. All right, so I got to stop laughing so I can read this. All right, so this one's called Too Good at Being Alone. I can really relate to this after my failures and successes in this life, but I have that sinking feeling that I'm better off alone. Past lives traumas, I do not remember them, but following the patterns of generations, I can feel that heaviness as I unconsciously repeat them. I still try to heal those around me, and yet I do find it difficult to connect on that deeper level, even when I'm prompted. Breaking these generational curses, this is my challenge, and I'm not sure I'm accomplishing the task. I'm feeling like I'm moving further away from the connections with people, although these spaces have brought other kindred souls around me, and the feeling of loneliness has been temporarily sidelined. The loneliness is the gaping hole that I've been trying to fill for my entire life. Also, the numbness of just existing, going through the motions without thinking, like being on autopilot, getting into the car and forgetting where I'm going halfway there. And then upon remembering, being sad at recalling the destination and wishing I was going somewhere else.
Oh, oh, Terri Rose Jertson, such lovely dimension you add to the human experience. Thank you. Your honesty is exquisite, and it's a communion. Thank you, Terri Rose Jertson.
Thank you.
Let us see. Oh, I see. Chanson, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Welcome, Chanson.
Thank you. So while I was sitting here, I wrote 10 haiku. So I'll try to read these 10 within the time frame. Haiku. Her flowers blossom, should be called seasons of love. So glad mine is now. Haiku. Cool yet smoking hot, creates a heart thunderstorm, bright as a crystal. Haiku. Hello in the spring, here's my number in summer, get the hell out, fall. Haiku. Never mad at you. Of course, we may disagree, never in anger. Haiku. Trinkets are lethal, a toy before the real thing, pleasure nor business. Haiku. Long-winded preachers, expensive word charisma. Hurry it up, please. Haiku. Long-winded poets. Why share in 22 lines what you can in 3? Haiku. LGBTQ plus all other great facets deserve love as well. Haiku. Racists vilify, condemns their own DNA. Race transcends own skin. And the last one. Let's play in your hair as we exchange sweet love notes. No one has to know. Thank you.
Yes! Chanson, thank you!
You're welcome.
Goodness. Thank you so much for sharing with us. How you are able to create so live like that. Okay. Pure essence distilled your way with words is so true. Thank you, Chanson Byrd.
Thank you.
Let us see. Oh, welcome and thank you now, Carl Lowe.
I think I'm unmuted now. Thanks. Yeah, so I have a little poem I wrote about my experience writing a book, writing this book about my life, and just reminded me. I had a conversation once with one of my kids who he tends to be a conspiracy theorist, and he was telling me about one of the Clinton supposed conspiracies because so many people the Clintons know had died unexpectedly or young supposedly, and I told him, if I told you all the people I know who died unexpectedly and prematurely, you might think I was in on some kind of conspiracy. So that's so I'm writing this book, like I said before, about my life. And so here's sort of a poem about some of those people. And the name of the poem is That's the Risk. That's the risk of writing a book about your own life. All the dead come back to visit. Mark, who at age 15 had his heart burst and was dead in a day. Just one of those birth defects that disrupts high school. The Park Avenue shrink who wanted to write a book with me and seduce me. Next thing I knew, a car accident in Florida erased her life. There was Studious John attending Yale with me, and one day they just told me he was dead. Drug overdose. Peter, my freshman roommate, disappeared from college too, but he was found alive, but brain fried and naked in Grand Central Station, arrested and trucked back to school. His panicked life wouldn't be gone for another 40 years or so after college when COVID ended it. And there were the two math whizzes at college whose plane crashed on the way back to graduation. There was Ellen, my office affair at the giant drug company. She was on a jet plane that went down in Jamaica Bay. There was Elwood, who played music with me on the streets of New York. Lung cancer got him about a decade ago, but he had a wonderful obituary in the New York newspaper. There were Jerry and Doug, the rock stars who got stoned with me backstage in Connecticut. Oh, they've been both dead for years now from diabetes and heart failure. Drugs didn't do Jerry in, I was told. It was the never-ending ice cream and his blood sugar. And I remember Phil Oakes, the folk singer. His larynx got crushed in a mugging, and that crushed his voice, and that crushed his soul. I met Phil on a Monday, and on Wednesday, he hanged himself in his brother's garage. Oh, then there's Mom and Dad. Dad killed Mom by accident when he fell asleep at the wheel years before. I had warned her not to let him drive. I could only stand being in the car with him driving if I kept my eyes closed. Otherwise, it was too frightening. Oh, there's Mark, the character who hired me to write books for a publishing company. I didn't know that other people hated him so much until he died and they poured their vitriol out. Oh, there was Jerry, the billionaire who ran his vitamin company from his bedroom in California. I wrote his magazine for him, and I know people who had champagne in their fridge for years waiting for him to die, which he finally did. He was truly a 6'8" monster who was insufferable. Now I'm left with the rhythms they've all disrupted in their search for desire that so often leave me baffled. And I still don't understand that creature in my brain who leaves me with their ghostly images. That creature takes the darkness and the twisted dark shapes, mixes its fragments into pulse-quickening bursts of life, illusions of heaven, threats of punishment, justifications for justice, a rumination of what sort of fate you deserve, and the question of why you deserve nothing or deserve anything. But just try to walk in rhythm with that hidden creature, and you'll suffer the disruptions of everyday life as you drown in the rising waters of your own dreams and your ghosts that collect around you in a flash flood of disruptions. But that's the risk you run writing a book about your own life. Thanks.
Oh, Carl Lowe. Oh. Woo-wee. Elegy is high art. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, that is a fitting concept for poetic work. And yeah, promise that book. Keep us tantalized. Thank you, yes. We're welcoming now. Thank you, Hill.
Hi. I've been mostly writing little short poems lately for social media to keep my hand in because I haven't been feeling well. I'm going to read you a couple of those, and then I'm going to read you a longer poem that's coming out in an anthology for Pride Month. This is called Things I Love. The clacking of dice. Children seeing their faces in the mirror for the first time. Adults seeing their faces in the mirror for the first time. Hummus, pad thai, mango sticky rice, but also gravy and biscuits, sliced tomatoes, tater cakes. A friend who moves worms to the grass with steady, tender hands. And this pain in my chest if it means one more breath. And then the other short one is called Father Poem. In the end, all I could do for you was prevent a burial. That a man who lived in a closet so long feared interment should have been no mystery, I suppose. I hope the flames felt like freedom. I don't have to write about my father, so there you go. There's that. And then the longer one is called You and I, and it's coming out in an anthology called Out Loud soon. You're supposed to be sad, you remind me every once in a while. You're supposed to be broken, lonely, forgotten, unforgiven, teetering on the brink. You, victim, survivor, orphan, jobless, loverless, autistic, borderline, traumatized, so many years past your junkyard body's expiration date, are supposed to drown in your tears and wash the slate clean with salt water. But I, in response, only wipe my tears with your expectations, turn them into a crumpled tissue in the trash, lace up my docks with trembling hands, head out for another walk, scream out my pain, anger, loss, desperation, fear, hunger, exhaustion at the microphone once in a while, then sit at the table with my dice and my dreams and drown you out with a laugh that doesn't need your permission to exist. That's it for me. Thank you.
Oh, reverence for your poetry, Hill. Appreciation for your being. Thank you. You are someone who thinks of adults seeing themselves in the mirror for the first time. It is so distinguishes your character and kindness and depth. And your gift for poetry. So thank you for sharing that. You mean so much to me. And my love for you is so deep, and your poetry is great. Capitals. All right. Thank you, Hill. Okay. Oh. True poetry love. We welcome Nashville's own Franchesa Kirkpatrick.
You said we could do something for Pride, so here I go. I was an egg donor, so this is what came of it in just a short amount of time. When you asked for that, I just went ahead and wrote it. So forgive me if there's any flaws, but I didn't have time to edit or anything. Being an egg donor, the pride of papas. I wanted to share my own DNA. By being an egg donor, pride of papas, the lawyers, they call and ask, did you mind working with gay men? Pride of papas. Without blinking or hesitation, I said, yes, let me help them. Pride of papas. Two guys they called me back, and I call them donor couple number one. Pride of papas. We laughed when we met each other because the night that we ate at Bella Noche, we saw two beautiful redheaded twins in carriers. Pride of papas. The little redheads were giggling outside in their carrier. One of them said, I hope we get redheads. Pride of papas. Pride of papas. They got two little twins in June of 2000, 9 months later, and with the help of someone else as well, almost on their papa's birthday and Father's Day, of course. Pride of papas. The next parent was single. I call him donor number two. Parents, he didn't have anyone to help, but he wanted to do everything. Pride of papas, to grow up and be just like him. Those children, those twins, so close, those twins. I felt tickled when one of them said, meet my beautiful girlfriend, Maggie. Well, I knew that I was very happy to see this and meet any special partners. The third donation was also a single father, pride of papas, and his son and he traveled the world sending me Christmas cards every year. And also they would send me things that they were doing. So I say Pride of Papas. And this is what happened about a month ago. I went into Target and I saw some overalls. And they were Pride overalls. And they said Queen. And they had a rainbow. So I got them because I'm going to be proud. They were made by people from the LBGT community and it supports them. So I had no problem purchasing them, and I will have no problem wearing them around town because I really needed some new overalls. Thank you. I'm Franchesa Kirkpatrick, and this is my poem about the pride of papas being an egg donor. Thank you.
Franchesa, thank you. Oh, magical being who you are. Thank you for all of the creativity that you create and the life too. Thank you for sharing that with us. And extra special oodles of love for you. Really appreciate you being with us today. And in such a fun party hat.
Yes, I love it. I love unicorns as well. So like I said, when that happened back then, they even tell me now, they're like, we didn't know if that would ever happen because they were telling people that even they couldn't adopt. So it was very hard back then. And they said, you had such, what do you call it? Courage, motivation, and everything like that to be able to help us because not everybody would help us. And even the kids, like I said, they tell me now they're all in like they're 21 and they've some of them graduated from college in the last few weeks and everything, and they're going to New York and they're going all over the world and doing great things with art and movies and music and everything that I like. So I feel like they're little splinters of my DNA and little splinters of partially me too, but I'm not their parent. I'm just proud to make Papa's parents because they didn't know if they could ever have children. So I'm like so honored.
A fairy godmother, really?
Exactly. You're so right. Yeah. And I feel great to be that because they can call anytime and they can call me and ask me any question and I'm proud of them and I don't mind whatever in their life they decide to do. I tell them to love who they want to. I say, love who you want to, when you want to. Don't worry about it. Just love them and don't worry about what other people think, say, or tell you. You are loved by me and you were made with love because your parents did what they did in a lab to make that happen.
Yeah, that takes a lot of love. It does.
Because I had to take shots and I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, pop, there they are. You know, there was surgeries and shots and things that had to be planned. And sometimes things didn't work out because they're, you know, you never know. It's just like, you know, people that are in fertility treatment. It's kind of like that. But thank you so much for letting us share everything here. Letting us be who we want and also telling us to share our pride with you because that is pride right there. And from my heart, I love you guys. I love all of you. And I just want you to have the best summer ever. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll be composing some more stuff. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Yes, love exponentially. You are so good at infusing every moment with that, Franchesa. Thank you. Yes, may it be reflected back to you.
Yes, thank you.
We have our most recent in-person feature coming to us live from Canada. So excited you are here with us. Thank you, Jeff Cottrill.
Thank you. So I was just in Nashville a few weeks ago. Here's a city I've never been to, but I wrote about it anyway. This is called Atlantic City. They're dragging me to prison again. That's the way it goes here in Atlantic City. I came here young and naive, expecting a gambling paradise, and found myself in a police state. There's never a warning, never a chance to escape. Not even a questioning from the authorities or from those who accuse you. They don't even tell you what your alleged crime is. They grab you and haul you straight to the city's only jail facility. Mind you, it's not so bad once you're there. Prisoners in Atlantic City are permitted visitors anytime with no limit, and they still allow you to collect some of your work earnings, not your regular base salary. That gets delayed until they let you out. Sometimes they let you out right away if you have the funds to pay the proper fine, or if you flash a special card. Sometimes you can get out early if you play along and, shall we say, roll the dice right. Typically, though, you stay incarcerated for a given amount of time and then get out, and you think you're free, but you never are, because they'll get you again. They'll drag you off, and the whole routine plays out as before. It's maddening and absurd, an American Kafka tale, but that's how it is here. For years, I've yearned to escape Atlantic City, but I can't. It's an endless cycle in which you travel around the city over and over, along the same route, seeing the same streets, the same railroads, and none of them ever change, and you can't leave, and you never find a true home. Sure, the streets are colorful, as are the buildings on them, but they're all surrounded by a drab gray that never goes away. Where are all the casinos, you ask yourself? Where are the glitz and the glamour? Were these only a myth designed to entrap us all? Oh, there's plenty of money here, I can confirm that. Atlantic City is a rich place full of opportunity, but it's a cutthroat one. Invest well and you can come out on top, and you rarely have to pay taxes. Find yourself on the wrong street and you can be decimated in less than a blink, depending on who owns the street and what they've built there. Well, they're crazy about real estate in this town. That seems to be the only game around. You can purchase whole avenues at shockingly low prices, 60, 100, 200 bucks. You can buy national railroads and even the city utilities if you get to them before anyone else does, or if they get auctioned off. And the rentals can bring in good cash on the side, especially when you start building homes and accommodations. But Atlantic City has authoritarian methods of collecting these rentals for investors. If they catch you loitering on a competitor's street, they'll make you pay rent for being there. That's not so bad, usually just a few bucks, until the houses and hotels start going up, and then you have to be careful. I went through a rough spot not long ago when I was stuck on the boardwalk, and the only place to stay was that Great Red Hotel. They charged me $2,000 just for one night, $2,000, and I had no choice. It could have plunged me into instant bankruptcy. How lucky I had my own property as a backup. It was devastating, though. I had to sell all of my houses on Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois avenues at half price, and then I had to mortgage these same streets. I barely collected enough. Thank God I received my regular salary right after I left the boardwalk. And then by chance, they dragged me off to prison again for no conceivable reason. That's the funniest thing about Atlantic City. Sometimes jail is a haven. You can relax and avoid the unpredictable pitfalls of this real estate market. Who knows what might have happened to me if I hadn't been safe in jail, still free to collect rent on my own property. I might have stepped on the wrong spot again and been knocked out of the game for keeps. Don't get me wrong, there are other ways to make money in this town, but they're infrequent and unreliable. There are opera nights and Xmas funds. There's the occasional beauty contest. I came in second place once and received $10. Never found out what first prize was. If you're lucky, you can get a couple of $100 when there's a bank error in your favor. You might get money when your building and loan matures. I once received a dividend of $50, although I can't remember buying any corporate shares. Some of these side income sources seem shady and dubious indeed. There's that free parking spot in the middle of town. I don't know what's going on there, but every time I park my car there, the parking attendant gives me money. $500 in cash, hands it to me as if it's the most normal thing in the world. But what for? I ask him. Where is this money coming from? He never tells me, just smiles and walks away. And I take the money every time, but something feels wrong about it. Even by the twisted logic of this town, it feels like something outside of the rules. I avoid parking there these days. Who knows what dirty scheme they're involved in. Dear God, how I wish I could leave Atlantic City. After years of roaming here, of making and losing money so randomly, I've come to find it the most boring and meaningless place in existence. I dream of other lives. Surely I could have been anything else. A pair of ragged claws? Or perhaps I could have been a world conqueror, dominating nations from Argentina to Kamchatka. Or I could have been a sleuth, solving murders in great mansions. Or an island settler, building roads and settlements in exchange for sheep and wood. Or a Navy captain, sinking cruisers and submarines with well-aimed missiles. A simple rail passenger, a dungeon master, a surgeon with hands so skilled that the instruments never touch the sides of the incisions. I could have been a hippo. I swear I'd be willing to transform into a hippopotamus, living on nothing but giant white marbles to get out of this town for a day. Why, Lord, why such a cruel fate? What's this? I'm free again. Looks like chance has intervened once more, and I'm spared another brief prison term. I suppose I'll make a brief pit stop at the waterworks. Today they're charging me a whopping $120 just to wander around the plant. It's absurd, but that's the way things go here. Someday, I may make it out of Atlantic City. Until then, please keep a bed free for me at Marvin Gardens. That was Atlantic City. Some of you may have heard that before. I don't think I've done it here, though. If you don't mind getting up early this Friday, I am interviewing Skylar Winter and artist Neshka Turner on their new book, Shine. So that's at 3 o'clock a.m. Central Time. It's 11 a.m. UK time, though, so it's a little friendlier for the British people here. But I will put the Eventbrite link for that in the chat right now.
Woo! Chuck Cottrill with the playfully biting commentary. Thank you. No, I hadn't heard that before. I still hadn't either. Yeah, woo, fresh and exciting. I love it. Thank you so much, Jeff Cottrill. And yeah, good news about that interview and that book. Excellent. Well, we next welcome back. So grateful to have you here with us online, a sometime in-person brew participant. Thank you, Breton Phillips.
Hello. This one I'll title, Oh Great Gaslight in the Sky. Gaslighting away, water to the sky, just salt remains, we're walking on your sea. Oh, but it's Pride Month. I'm like a muffin taco, talking and talking. This gaslight is setting. So you'll come like a thief in the night, because we don't want the thief in the day. Give us one more chance to live eons and eons. In this we pray. That's all I have for today.
Oh, Breton Phillips. My goodness, you put so much heart in your work. Thank you for that. Oh, yeah. Really grateful to hear from you. Well, my goodness. I could sit with that for a moment and let it unfold inside me. Right now, we are going to welcome and thank you so much, Greg Slade.
Hey, y'all. I'm actually coming remote from Michigan today, but luckily it was online. So coming to you actually from the graveyard where I used to write all my poetry when I was young. I used to escape and always come here and do writing. And I actually have a poem that's a little bit, topical. It's called Past Life. I come from a place where people used to live, where people used to dance, some that I knew, some that I didn't, where I sang outside when all those people were alive. You can't find it by chance, you have to try hard to remember the place where the people used to live and the way to descend there. The ages of beauty gone by, held in the heart like a dream of a picture of the people who were seen throwing their arms around me. So much life here that only now used to be. So many roots you have to imagine, for they are not so simple to see. I come from a place where I used to live, where the trees know all the songs I used to sing. I learned to fill up the space, coming from such an empty place, full of myself and the strain to create, burning bright from another time, ancient life caught in the current line, a place where things used to be, being the place where the light was derived, ancient life in my younger eyes, a sign of the time when it was right to thrive, where they used to believe what has now come to be but barely even denied. A trip to make my mind return to arrive in the place where all the people used to be alive, like me. I raised myself up in a cemetery, the only place the peace wasn't temporary. Yes, even in the dark, and no, it was never scary. Bits of silver and of gold in case, for the ferry, where heroes never known lie in rest, and it is their rest I somehow have come to carry. It is the peace that was made, filling in the fields of the legendary, drawing me to the place where I might learn the lesson of silence, of the sacrifice. I might add up the years passed by of a child's life. There another husband, here another wife, learning what it means to come from a place where all the people used to really be alive. We used to be a family, but that was in another life. It's called Past Life.
Oh, beautiful work, Greg Slade. That was touching. Ah, marvelous. My goodness, yes. Wow, you delve and you explore in terrain that not many bring poetry to. I really thank you for that. Thank you, Greg Slade.
Thank you all for having me.
Oh, my goodness. You all, your voices travel such a complete circuit of human experience. It's the holistic, creation that everyone is collaborating on here. It's magnificent. I cannot emphasize enough how much each individual voice is of such immeasurable value to this world, and what a tremendous gift it is for each of you to represent yours. I know you know how inspiring that is for other people and the permission that it gives. So thank you. Thank you. I know the effort that it takes to do it. We next welcome, what a delight that you are here to join us and we get to hear from you, Katie Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few here to read tonight. These are ones that I wrote this week. The first one is called Of Boundaries and Red Flags. Red flags? Hey, don't ignore those red flags. No, how about this? I am used to red flags. I can live with them like they are a dirty, comforting blanket that you realize after pondering it for too many days, it needs to be washed. Why? Sometimes kids get used to red flags. No choices, no voices. Must live with them if you want to exist, depending on what you were given, no matter if you've forgiven. We can hide in those closets and they are still there. Hide in the bathroom, taking a break from reality, staring peacefully at the upside down shampoo bottle, watching the protected air bubbles rise with slow ascend. It'll be okay. My organized, somewhat cluttered environment makes me feel safe. Disorganized disorganization, my little pieces of definition, carried from place to place, defining my spaces without any red flags. The only thing here are my own projections and protections. So I can ignore your red flags like a pro until I awake and need to clean that dirty blanket whose smell I just noticed is in the air, maybe a day too late. And then I will read a second one here called Silence for a Moment. I can be heard, but can you hear? Can you make the choice to stave off my fears? Nope. Everyone hands me the ropes to tie up our stuff in a neat package with a pretty bow and sparkles. Danger around makes so much sound, but silence is prettier and denial gets us through for another day that I can spend with you. Thank you very much.
Katie Thompson, ooh, with incisive fortitude. Thank you, thank you. I love this tone that you took in these poems tonight. Thank you, Katie Thompson, for sharing with us. I keep whipping back and forth. Here's the list, here's the list. We next welcome, thank you so much, Martin Parker.
Thank you, Christine. Can you hear me okay tonight?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so this is an elegy I think I may have read here before, but it's been at least a year, I think. And it seemed like a good one to read tonight. It's called Like Ships That Pass. You ferried us home in your boat of a car. We'd all spent the weekend at Rehoboth afar. Dropping me off to prepare for the week, you planted a peck of farewell on my cheek, with whiskers that bristled like those of my dad, and memories that leave me both sad and glad. We'd venture up to Penda Hill's height, a center named for the mystical sight of Fox's visions and infamous trials, amid the laughter, hugs, and smiles, and bouts of delusion, a friend who'd need aid. A harrowing journey home was made. A single earring brought you out of hiding as you talked about the crushing stress of postal works and catering to your mother's quirks. But then after the loss of your mother dear, you retired to where the water was clear, or so the name on the sign would say, with a partner who called you his cubby each day. He posted the news as your lungs gave way and struggled to find the words to say. You were felled by the plague a tyrant ignored, and passed in the night when the rabble stormed the citadel shining, that ship of fools, plagued by gridlock, dysfunction, and rules that bring painful pressure but little relief to the many now feeling so much grief. I'd put aside this chatting rhyme if I could just see you one last time, to wrap you in my arms like this and let my beard brush your cheek with a kiss. And this is in loving memory of David Christopher Shipp, who passed on the night of the insurrection of COVID. And I've got another short one that's topical to this time. I don't write about this kind of thing very often, but something recently brought this closer to home. So this is actually called Trigger Warning. I feel the need to give a trigger warning. This is based on a recent event. It was a harrowing day in the neighborhood. Automatic gunfire tore through the glass of the Crystal Bridge at the school down the road from my partner's place. Police blocked the streets from Porter to Albemarle. I knew I'd never get through the maze. So it was a long afternoon and night. And yet not as harrowing as some people have been going through lately. So we were thankful for that, but feelings go out to everybody who's been dealing with all this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin Parker. Your words are solemn and sacred, and at the same time, they uplift. I know I've mentioned this, that you are able to dig in like that and still find a way to raise the collective spirit. I appreciate you so much, Martin Parker. Thank you. We next, I believe, have a first timer on our mic, someone we haven't heard from here before. I am so thankful, and thank you to Chanson for the invite. Welcome now, Sophia Falco.
Hi. Yeah, it's been a great night of poetry. I really appreciate it. It's kind of been a tough week, but poetry, I love poetry. It's my world. So I'm happy to be here tonight. I have 2 poems and then a little book review in between. I just got a book review and it touched my heart. I just completed my 3rd poetry book, and I'm a mental health advocate as well. So, it's more than just a book. It is a message and declaration. So so the first poem I have on my screen, so I'm looking to the side, but okay. So this one's titled Wishing. The shadow floating aimlessly across the blank wall, drawing a blank on my first memory, this puppet my choice, a butterfly confined, not etched in missing bright colors and eyes. I believed I was living in the shadows of who I once was, Still, after all that time, wanting to fly and to not die, my empty heart at night still beating, still pumping blood, woke up with a jolt. Butterflies born in my stomach, ready to burst. They started rising to my chest, knots now caught in my throat, not a net, migration upwards, the suffering, trying to hold it down. When this needs to reach the outside to see the light, I threw up these butterflies in the middle of the night, illuminating this room with me alone in bed like shooting stars. These effervescent butterflies fluttering about. I opened my palms, one perched on my fingertip, and I made a wish. Thank you. That's the first poem. And this is the book review for my third book. It made me cry. It was really, I just felt very seen as a poet and a person. And then I have a poem to conclude for Pride Month. Anyways, this is from Tiny Seed Literary Journal, such a gift. In Falco's latest collection of poems, you'll watch deep suffering transform into a migration of butterflies, seeking a way out, seeking light. You'll meet a woman wanting to rescue fireflies from a rusty lidded jar, but who can't seem to rescue herself. Grab a hold of Sophia's hand as she leads you into the fourth dimension, a place filled with heartache, contrast, darkness, and light. Falco's heartfelt poetry will spin you into a stunning expanse of cosmic chaos. So it just was really touching. And this is for Pride Month. And I'm going to put this as the epilogue for my book. And it's not too long. Okay. It's titled Poetry is My Prayer. I was the one who got away from myself, running and running, worn down countless pairs of running shoes, all colors over the years. If lined up, this would create a rainbow, running from the rainbow too, even though somewhere over the rainbow rang true in childhood, running myself into the ground, self-hatred, deemed the self as weak, laying stomach down, head to the side on the red brick patio with the sun beating down on my back, beads of sweat dripping down while she'd rather want me to wear necklaces of pretty beads, but not the rainbow, no. And that day, all alone, the weight of the world too much to hold up the sky, trying not to die. If I wasn't a poet, I dare not want to think of what would have happened to me. Cannot be a self-fulfilling prophecy, my moral duty to live, to survive, not up to being another poet who falls off the face of the planet. Expectations, I don't have the answers, or a beacon of light. It's been bleak for over a decade, feeling weak. Weeks keep going by. People deem me inspirational, whereas I am scared of these hands that can also work magic, a double-edged sword. My pen is no sword. A sword is not a pen. And it leads me back to when. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's a gasp on that last one. Sophia Falco, woo! Thank you for your pride poetry, and thank you for the palpability you render in your work. I feel that. Thank you, Sophia Falco. I would love to hear from you again. I know everyone here, even certainly the ones who are familiar with you and the ones who are just meeting like me. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to catch up with the chat real quick. One moment. Okay, so what I have to ask, I think that everyone who has checked in, oh, wonderful. We have one more on the open mic, unless Ray Zimmerman makes it here in time. I just got an email. He works on Saturdays now, but we'll see. We'll see. We're here right now and very excited and grateful to hear from Caroline Minter.
Hi guys, how are you all? I'm trying to pull up this good. Can you see me and hear me? Okay.
We can hear you, but we got a picture of you, which is a cool picture.
Oh, hold on. Let me come back.
Yay, there you are. Hi. Awesome earrings.
Oh, I'm trying to, I'm on my phone. I told you I was in New York, so I'm trying to read from my phone. Hey. Okay. So if I go away.
Okay, so now you're muted. So the video is gonna go away, I think, but I know you can keep the sound. But you're gonna have to go back and unmute. Oh dear. Did we lose? Did we lose Caroline? Uh-oh. 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 Yep, here she comes. Okay, we're gonna try that again. Caroline, Caroline Minter. Hello.
I hate phones. Okay, I'm gonna read to you. I'm gonna read. Okay, so even though if you can't see me, can you hear me?
We can hear you, and it's an awesome pick.
Okay. So. All right. So this is called Cranium Care. What does it keep going away? Does it not want me to read tonight? This is called Cranium Care. Greetings from my gardens. I arise to feel the fragrance fuming from my frontal lobe. It situated itself in the tantrum of topics that land on my cotton and caress my cares. May I never get sidetracked by the leaves that will leave. Smell my fragrance of forgiveness as the dew of the day lurks. Saturate all that suits me and tie-dye my demands. May the syncopation of time slink into my steps as these saplings begin to sprout about me. Make a bouquet of my brain, act as a buffer. May I stand firm in the fragility of this day, shedding lightly like the lilies of my language that tries to languish. May the colors of catastrophe never bloom. Catch and release my heart of knots and let it rise above my self-satisfaction. May I always shoulder the ties that bind this bouquet of my mind, blow into the soil of my soul and shake the syncopated seed of the sapling in the tulips of time. May the riblets of rain resurrect my reason and renew my reality. Germinate my being. May this hidden figure out how to face today and all that suits my stature. Adjust the temperature of all that tempts me temporarily.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
I'm letting your words flow through me. I'm saying I need this cranium care. Thank you, Caroline Minter.
Get it. It's so good to see you guys.
Oh, so good to be with you. Thank you. Thank you for coming and for sharing. And everyone, all of you. I don't think Ray made it by. I'm going to check and see if I have any more emails. Doesn't look like it. Ooey. All right. Well, I'm going to put us into, well, actually, so I didn't have a clear answer on this, but is it okay if I ask out loud? Phynne Belle, would you be willing to close us out by closing out your piece? I don't want to put on the spot, but I do want to ask very politely, if you please, if you feel like it, and if not, that's okay.
I cut it off, like thinking that it would go on much longer, and I realized I could have finished it because it was just a paragraph. That was it. So it would be really
that might
odd.
be a beautiful way to close, and then I'll take us out and speak with you if you're into it. I know I am.
I could do that if you like.
Okay, cool.
Shall I do now or
Please.
Oh,
I think
okay.
everyone's spoken, and if anybody else has something else to say after this, just give me a message. But we're going to listen to Phynne Belle close out that exquisite piece. Thank you, Phynne Belle.
Thank you. Apologies, I'm looking for it.
Somehow just the ambient tone in your room is really soothing and stimulating at the same time, so that's good.
That's good. It's because my dogs are napping. I ticked off a tale, a half falsity of a great uncle, once, twice, thrice removed, who procured these statues, who was swindled at every stop. None among these monstrosities, historical or classic, not one could claim the caress of the hands of a master of their dubious era. Every single one of them accomplished at pretending to be something they were not, that their own fibs birthed them into their quietude. They remain in this absolute stillness of being. Among my snotty cousins, you will hear of a spinster aunt in her debutante year, high on the desirability of her suitors, poured back into her eyes in long gazes, how she had pulled off a mask of bacchanalia, her final soiree of the season. They would claim this a solitary phenomena, the army of solemn marble deities forming their lips kinetic, as if in preparation to discourse. And what conversation it was to behold, ecstatic copulation, gorgeous intoxication in bodies, warm, fallible, and of flesh, meeting those bodies locked in stone and marble, mingled perfection. It was as if, after all had their fill, one and all understood, ordained by a power unseen, a return to their perpetual silence. My kin, each one, consummate liars, but my word to be sure, you must believe. Thank you.
Oh, Phynne Belle, thank you. Thank you for coming back with that. Oh, yeah, yeah. Extraordinary what you do with your writing, and ooh, wow, the emotional spell you cast and the resonance. Thank you, Phynne Belle. Now, what I noticed was that we might have a Gary Huskisson with us. Is that a possibility? Because if it is, my goodness, would we love to hear from this rainbow-framed lad. Oh, Gary Huskisson, will you speak with us tonight? We're just about to end.
Oh, hiya.
The bandwidth is so incredibly low.
Lovely to see everybody.
Oh, I might have just caught up.
All right, what can I
That's better.
find
Yeah.
for you?
Thank
All right, here we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's good. Now it's good.
Oh,
Wonderful.
you can hear me. All right, I'll do two little ones. It's so good to see you guys again. All right.
We love you, Gary.
I love you too. All right. In light, rat-a-tat-tat. The assailant goes rat-a-tat-tat. The teacher goes, run, run, run. The students go down, down, down. The parents go, cry, cry, cry. We go, why? The preacher goes, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The NRA rubs their hands together, rub, dub, ka-ching, ka-ching. The NRA goes on and on. The sailor goes rat-a-tat-tat. Have I got time for one more?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Gary.
All right. This is Hills might have heard this one. All right. That's coming from my upcoming book release. Go with a bang. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? You can all right. This be now taking part in the 100 meters race because I would like you all to get to your marks. This is a 100 meters race, and in the first, in lane 1, we have Donald Trump. 2, we have the Pride Boys. 3, we have the NRA, and 5, there's little old May, me. On your marks. No false starts. Get set. Go, and they're off. And they're off straight away. First, they go, there's Trump. And there's Gary. He's tripped over a hole in the thing. It's a rat race. It's a disgrace not to have the right colour face in this 100 meters race. It's a disgrace not to be allowed to live somewhere safe. And there he comes. And the NRA, with all their fortunes and their new spikes on, are going through past the Proud Boys. But where is Gary? Gary is now going over the steeplechase. Climbing over. It's a disgrace. not to be given the time at the start of the human race. It's a disgrace to have the wrong ammunition in their arms race, but the NRA have got it. They've got all of it. It's a disgrace to be told your place. It's a disgrace. Where is Gary? They've all crossed the line. It's a disgrace not to have grace, not to be able to take part in this human race. First was the NRA, they take the gold. Silver was a joint with the Proud Boys, with Trump and the Presidents, and still coming down to in the race with 50 metres to go, it's Gary. Thank you. He's back where he belongs.
Oh, Gary Huskisson, yay!
Love you, Gary.
Oh,
Love you all.
Thank you for being the passionate person you are, bringing your incredible soul here. Thank you, each and every one of you poets. I am putting us in the gallery view. Oh my goodness, say your good nights. Go ahead and unmute. We'll be back here in the Zoom room on July 2nd. And then, of course, we are looking at making those quiet meetups just for some writing time to commune together and be however accountable we want to be. So come to me with any ideas on timing for those that might work even weekly. I don't know, just like think of things and send them to me if you feel like it. And just love and thanks so much. And yeah, if you're in Nashville and want to join us in the loft, we have Liz Hart featuring this coming Saturday. Okay, unmute, say good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Nice to see
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Christine, why are you so cute? Flowers.
Because I'm a child. I didn't grow up. It's a trauma side effect,
I'm sitting here playing with a toy the whole time. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I have a lot of fidgets. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's good to see you guys.
I got kicked out. I'm sorry, but
Oh,
okay.
no, thank you for being here.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
everyone.
So good.
All right, see you next month.
Oh, have a wonderful one, I hope. Oh, I look forward to the next. Good night, you all. Oh, I'm going to call you out specifically. Bye, Caroline. Bye, Lauren. Bye, Chanson. Bye, Terri Rose Jertson. Thank you. Bye, Phynne Belle. Franchesa, love you so, so much. Thank you for being here. Have a beautiful night, I hope.
You too.
Yes, poetic miracles flowing. It really can create wonderful things out here. These connections we make. This is true. I believe. Believe in you. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting now. Good night, y'all. Can't wait to